We're live.
Hey, hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Friday evening, or evening for some of us, I guess. I am joined here today with May Bennett and Chloe Lees to celebrate May Bennett's release of her newest novel, Barely Even Friends, her debut novel. And then she is joined here today with Chloe Lees, author of Two Wrongs Make a Right, Better Hate Than Never, and the Berkman Brothers series. We are very, very excited to have you all today and to get to be able to hear May and Chloe chat. We will go ahead and start here very soon, but just a few logistic elements. May and Chloe will chat for around an hour. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the YouTube chat, and we will go ahead and have May and Chloe answer those. And I will go ahead and pass it along to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting this. And May, congratulations. You did it.
I know you read like a very early version of this book. This is like really wild this to be talking to you about it now that it's out and in our hands and you blurb it. So this is very surreal too. So I appreciate it.
No, I'm really happy for you. This book is such a delight. I think how I was going to do is I've got some questions prepared, but at any time you've got something you want to say, you just throw it out there. You know me, I'll stop and listen. But the first question I had when I was, thinking about putting these together was what inspired you to retell Beauty and the Beast? Of
Yeah.
all the stories you could retell, why that one?
So I love retellings. I mean, it's one of the many reasons I love your new series with Berkeley. But I I don't know what I think for me it's a fairy tale that kind of stands out to me just because I think even in just the traditional many different various versions of it, she saves him in the traditional Belle versus the Beast kind of retelling. So that's just always been something that's stood out to me rather than some of the other kind of fairy tale stories that, you know, the princess needs saving by the prince and it's all lovely, but
Damsel in
just,
distress.
being yeah, and I really love that aspect of it, but I also just even growing up with every princess doll and everything else just didn't see anyone who looked like me. I've always been plus size, and so I think just as I was fiddling around and just deciding what to write and not even necessarily planning on writing it, just kind of writing for me really was just like, what if I wrote a retelling of one of my favorite fairy tales, but the main character, at least body type, looked a lot more like mine. And that's kind of just where it kind of fell into place very quickly. Otherwise, was just how that started was something a little bit different.
Yeah, well, and I, I so resonate with that thought process of like, okay, here's a story I grew up loving, or here's even like just a world of stories, right? The idea of a fairy tale, or like with my stuff when I'm writing Shakespeare retellings, and this reflection of like, okay, so a retelling, it says something new, right? Like we engage with the original text, but we want to say something new too. And I think it's so powerful and beautiful when that new, or part of it, is more people get to be in these stories than you used to see, right? Like that affirmation that, okay, there's so many systems at work that made these very narrow prescriptive ideas of who could be, and who we would picture as stars of these fairy tales. And so that affirmation and that joy and that expansive vision of when we do retellings is like there's more space for people, and there's this opportunity that people haven't had before to get to enjoy a beloved or nostalgic story, and then also get to see someone who thinks like them or looks like them in certain ways, or so yeah, I love that. And I felt that in the way that I remember when I was reading the early draft, I was like, that's the new, is like, um it's in so many different ways, and we'll talk about it more, but in so many different ways that
Yeah.
you told their story,
But
and developed.
I
You
do think that's also true, right? Like, 'cause how many stories they either look or just different aspects where we're either told almost subliminally, right? Like, this is the perfect idea of love because people look this way and all look this way, or are in this type of relationship, or these types of characters. And I think that's why just diversity in romance is also so incredibly important too, is not even to the complete subliminal messages that this is perfection and how everyone should be or look, or the relationships that are the ideal. And if that's not how you are or your experience, then you're not the ideal. And so it hurts. It's like little dings when you don't, don't always get to see yourself. And I'm not saying you have to see yourself in every book, but it is nice to see yourself in a book. So yeah, I do think seeing the new, seeing parts that you love or things that stand out to you that you love from that story, but also seeing a different twist on it is really nice.
Yeah. You did it so well. So a more like fun, lighthearted question is who was your favorite character to write and like why?
Yeah. So I was thinking on this because you were very kind and sent these to me ahead of time because I am a nervous person and get anxious
I'm an
about
anxious girly too. I get it.
yeah. So I think I have two answers because I've been kind of told that one character is kind of considered spoiler because I think people like to discover this character. So I will mention them, but I'm not going to say much just because I think people really enjoy experiencing this character, and I'm sure you can know. So Blaze is a character that I think a lot of people enjoy experiencing and figuring out who that character is in the book, and is very much the biggest part of my modern twist on Beauty and the Beast in this story, but has a lot of one-liners that just were a lot of fun to kind of add in and had me laughing, which I thought was a good sign, or I just really laughed too much at my own writing. But I really enjoyed writing Bellamy. I feel like she is definitely not me, but was a lot of things where um, I want to be like much more body positive about myself, or just kind of having that kind of uh better belief, and just she's very confident in who she is. So I really enjoyed writing her. She definitely has parts of me. She's a huge Taylor Swift fan, or just kind of the snark of her. Because I do think you can write a sunshine character that also is snarky. I don't think they just have to be very bright
Yeah.
and happy all the time. So I think uh writing her, but also writing Blaze, I think I love a good one-liner, just zipping in and out.
It's it, it's such a special moment when you get into your writing where you're like where you are laughing at yourself because you're really not laughing. I mean, at yourself. It's the weirdness of writing is that there are these like voices in your head and these characters that are becoming real to you. And so it's like it's kind of like when you first meet someone and you're like, oh, I think you might be kind of fun and we might click. And then, you're three times into hanging out with them and you're just belly laughing and it's that feel good like everything's clicked and fallen into place moment. And that's I think when characters and their words and their humor really start to like shine for you, or even just these aspects of their personality that like you had this sort of abstract idea that you wanted to bear out on page, but then you're experiencing it. What like her confidence, in her body and in her capabilities and what she does, like that can just be so satisfying and fulfilling to encounter because obviously it's coming from within you if we're talking in the pure reality of like it comes from your brain,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
is this sort of like a mirror moment of it's something you like saw and wanted, but now it's facing you in a way that's you, but it's not you. And I don't know, I just think it's often why I think people have favorites of their characters is because there was that part of the character that just clicked for them in a way that feels
Yeah,
like being good friends with them. So, um,
totally. No, they
okay,
definitely,
well, go ahead,
yeah.
babe.
No,
No,
I
you,
was just gonna say, like, they definitely did click. And even just talking about this is making me think. I went to Alicia Thompson's event with Nikki Payne at East City recently, and just them talking about like falling in love with their characters and then leaving them behind, and like trying to start falling in love with new characters, and just that tension too of I love these people. I don't want to meet new people too. So I think it's that great moment when you do kind of click with the voice, because not every character is like this. I got very lucky in writing this book that I think the voices very much clicked for me, and that's not always true in different stories. So
It is
yeah,
true. I love Nikki and Alicia. I bet that was a wonderful event.
I laughed the entire time. I was like, had to cover my face after a while. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm obnoxious. It was
Nikki
really
is just nonstop, like one-liners. Like she's just like boom, witty, boom, funny, boom, witty. I'm like, Nikki, I can't breathe. You
good.
just are too good. Please
It was
stop.
amazing. Yep.
Give me a minute. She's great. And Alicia is too. They're I love both of their books. So I'm really glad that they got together. So that's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, it was great.
Okay, speaking of Bellamy, Bellamy rocks suspenders, which I love. And so my question is, May, do you wear suspenders? Is this a self-insert? And if not, or even if you do, it's just whether it's a conditional or not. Either what color are like what's your favorite color? Like what are they? What's your favorite pair, color, print? And if not, what would it be?
I won't lie, I don't know where the suspenders came from. So I don't wear them other than I think there are a couple of pictures of me as like a child wearing suspenders, and that's not where the idea came from. But I do think the genesis of them came from me. The idea of wearing belts like can be very unattractive when you have curves, right? Like they can dig in and not
Feel
be
good.
very
Yes.
comfortable, or just
Sensory nightmare.
yeah, so I think that truly came from me because I'm a person who actually, wants to be fashionable and wear different things, but they don't always make me feel secure about myself. And I hate the word flattering, but like I just don't love how they look on my body and just don't always fit right either. But you need a way to hold up your pants sometimes if they don't fit great. So that's kind of just, I don't know. I wanted her to be someone who just did not care and wear something that was probably something that if I said I had a character wearing suspenders, most people's first assumption is going to be that it's my male main character. So I kind of love that aspect of it. And that was just another sign that she was just incredibly confident in who she was. She's wearing this thing that most people would not typically wear. And she likes them. She likes what it says and how it shows off her body. I don't wear them. I was really tempted to like get a promotional pair of suspenders. I don't even know how you go about wearing them or like ordering them, but I thought about that because I saw a couple, especially I'm gonna name drop her again, but Alicia Thompson and I think Katie Hoffman, they got like their baseball shirts for their teams, which is very different, but try to get suspenders for my book. But red is my favorite color, so I think I would get a red pair of suspenders or maybe something like yellow or purple to match the book. But yeah, I think I would wear them one day. I don't know if I'd wear them all the time, but I think at least in support of my book and just to try them out, and because belts are uncomfortable, I would try them out. I don't know. Would you wear suspenders?
I would, but I feel like the problem would be this neurodivergent girl would just be like
Pop it. Yeah.
all the time. I'd just be like walking like, hey everybody, how's it going? Do. I just would be like playing with them, snapping them
Yep.
all the time, which maybe would not be a problem in certain situations, but in some people would be like, please desist. You are a distraction.
No, I can
but
fidget too. So yeah.
I have a pair of jean overalls that are like buttery soft. I got them on clearance. I don't even remember where. Maybe it was like a Lucky store. I
Yeah.
just like wandered in there. It was when I was new to living near the mall that I live now. And I was just looking, I was just kind of poking in and out of stores trying to get the lay of the land because I do not like clothes shopping or trying on clothes. I do it like once a year at most, and then I just order what works online from there on.
Yeah.
So I'd like slipped into there. I was digging around the clearance rack and found this pair of overalls. And because I'm 5'10", these jeans are more like 7/8 length on me, these jean overalls. But I am always happy when I am in those darn jean overalls. Like there's just something about like clicking in and
Oh,
feeling like you're suited up for the day. I get
yeah.
so many compliments on them. People are like, you're so cute in your overalls. I'm like, well, I'm feeling pretty cute. Thanks. Like it's just so I think I might be obnoxiously joyful in suspenders. So maybe a time will come. Mine would definitely be green because that is my favorite color. So
Ooh. Ooh, I think green suspenders would be very pretty. So
I think they'd be great. You could like with like a black tee and like some like maybe high-waisted distressed jeans,
yeah,
socks. I think it'd be cute.
we could be like starting the next fashion trend right now.
Yeah. You know me, trendsetter.
I'm right there with you.
Like I'm a mom. I'm not setting any trends. And I'm now officially old enough as a mom to be able to start saying things to my kids like, I'm not like the other moms. I'm a cool mom. And they're like, Mom, stop it.
I'm the not cool aunt. I can't even say I'm the mom. I'm just like the boring. My nephews are like, we're cooler than you. Please stop. Like,
You got to
oh,
get them out in public and just start be like, I'm a cool aunt. I'm the coolest aunt. Just embarrass them. They love it secretly, I swear.
I don't have to do anything. I embarrass them like automatically. So it's great.
That's true. I just by existing, I embarrass my
Yeah.
children.
Totally.
Okay, so next question to get to move away from talking about jaunty suspenders. Get deep again. What do you think are like the most important themes of the book and what made you want to explore them? Like, was there a sense of an intent of theme or was it something that you more discovered as you were writing? Because I know that can vary from project to project. Sometimes the character is more vivid and the journey you kind of envision for them. And sometimes it is about like, this is what I want to dig into. Sometimes it's like a mix of both. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think some of it was intentional with the body positivity
Yeah.
of just, and I think that would be true. That's true for both of them. For Oliver, he is also kind of dealing with his own difficulties with like how he now feels about his body post being an athlete and no longer in training and just post dealing having been in a very bad car accident and just kind of like the changes that as you get older and just different aspects. So hasn't been romantically with someone in a long time and just like the vulnerabilities both physical and emotional of that. So that was definitely intentional, not just the obvious parts about kind of Bellamy and what she experiences as a both a woman and a plus size woman in the workplace. But that was also very intentional because those were hard things to write, but things I've experienced in my life of even just being told I'm probably not likely to get a job because of my weight, which is a very not fun thing to hear, but like unfortunately a reality for a lot of people. But I think the thing that was a lot more subliminal for me that I kind of discovered as I wrote the book was just of discovering kind of what home looks like for people and how individual that is, whether it's someone or an experience or memories, and just I think that was also why I really enjoyed writing Bellamy, and her occupation was she feels very strongly she's helping other people find home, but struggles to find it for herself and just her journey through that, but for both of them. So I really enjoyed that because I think that was something that I related to in ways and just also discovering for both of them and others. Just I really enjoyed kind of going to the deeper levels of that. Like I do think overall the book is mostly a comedy, but there are definitely some very difficult moments or moments of vulnerability for both of them as they lean into each other and also just lean into what is home, whether an emotional and just like an actual physical place for them. So yeah, I don't know. I love a good emotional book. I mean, that's why I think I love yours so much. They always hit the emotional levels as well as kind of the human vulnerabilities. And so I think I was hoping to I can't even talk today, encapsulate that even just slightly. So that's what I hope I did on a couple different levels. So
You did. And just I was like, just kind of nostalgically like flipping through the book again as I was like thinking about my questions and stuff and I was reading the ending, which I won't spoil. But talking about home, right? This theme of like finding your home, coming home to the truth of yourself, which is, facing your vulnerabilities and being honest about what those are with other people, right? So that you can really be I think, coming home to yourself is another way of saying being your authentic self, right?
mm,
Um, and that, the idea of that when we make a home or we feel like we are at home with each other, it's this act of making a space for each other to be safe in that this is my full self. These are the tender parts. These are the parts I love. These are the parts that I need you to love with
Yeah.
tenderness. Like it made me think about that like motif of home made me think about the Broadway version of Disney of Beauty and the Beast with the song Home.
Mm,
You know that one? This is
yeah.
home. Um, and I forget the lyrics. I used to sing the heck out of that song because I loved it. It was because it's all about that. It's about that, like, it's where your heart feels safe and where your heart feels like it's can fully be itself. And I think what you did so well in their story is showing that oftentimes people who have emotional wounds and who are they're protecting themselves, they're guarding their hearts, they guard them often with snark and jokes and
Yeah.
deflection with humor.
Yep.
So I always find it so funny when people kind of put up this false, I think, false dichotomy of like a rom-com can't have any difficult emotions. It's like I do hear readers. Sometimes there are books billed as rom-coms, and I'm like, what on earth? That is not.
Oh, yeah. I'm crying on page 2. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no, this is not.
Yeah.
But there are lots of books where I'm like, okay, just because we're hitting a moment of vulnerability or, just emotionality does not erase or discount all of the moments. In fact, it reinforces the fact this is why people are funny. I mean, some of the funniest people out there, comedians, comedic actors, often have like major mental health struggles
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
traumatic backgrounds or they're in recovery and they're coping like I don't know. So I thought you did that so well with it as Bellamy and Oliver are working in this space of a home. They're also doing the work on themselves to make and discovering home with each other. And of course, there's resistance to that because they both have all these protections around themselves, right? And so all the humor and the playfulness and the flirty snark really it's not just there for fun, I guess is what I'm saying, entertainment. It's there serving that journey that they go through.
Yeah. No, because I think too, it rang very true of also the things you may not love about yourself too, and having someone love those things about you was something I also really wanted for both of them. Of things where like, oh, I'm gonna need to protect myself, especially for those things too. And
Yeah.
then have someone not just like see those things in you, but like appreciate them or love them and it kind of
Embrace
was something
them.
that I also wanted to. The vulnerability that you were talking about, right? Like letting someone see you and the things that you don't really love about yourself. Like I think that was the thing of just the slow part and mirroring that in the house in a way of they're doing a couple steps and then things are breaking and they're breaking and they're not doing, so I definitely had my parts where I was screaming at them and wishing I could write it easier, but that's not real either. So
It's true. Well, we have a question in the chat that I want to give you. In your retelling, what were a few things you wanted to ensure you put into the book? And what were maybe one or two things you were okay taking out?
okay.
That's a
So
fun
I'll
part.
try. That's a good one. And I
So
think,
first part
yeah,
being, yeah, it always helps me because sometimes I'll read a question that has two parts. I'm like, what was the first part again? So the first part is what are a few things you really wanted to be sure were in the book that were true to the retelling, to the original story?
yeah. So that we're true to the story. So when I think of a true Beauty and the Beast, and I don't just mean Disney, like I mean of the fairy tale and just the things I love, and I will eat up any Beauty and the Beast retelling book, movie, TV show. Like I loved that CW cop show that was on, like anything that has it. So I think some sort of like it needs to be a grumpy sunshine aspect of it. One of So to me, I just wanted that dichotomy in their personalities. A great cast of secondary characters, which I think is true of many kinds. It's not just a hallmark of a Beauty and the Beast story. And just kind of some of the subtle nods of what that story means to me. I mean, there's a great library and there's just some nods that I don't want to say too many things that are spoilery, but I also think the cover is a great giveaway that there's plenty of Beauty and the Beast references in it.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of what I didn't include, I did have an early reader who And I will say this is one of my favorite scenes in the Disney movie is there's no like hurt, sick, comfort scene. And I had a friend who really, you can't fit it all perfectly in. So I had a friend who, because that movie means, or even just that fairy tale means so much to everyone. So I hope that the things ring true to everyone. But unfortunately, not going to make a perfect mirror retelling. But I think I wanted to hit like the emotional beats of them experiencing and just uh her saving him too, I think, without saying too much about how the ending is. Like I really also wanted to mirror that where she to me is really the strong one, at least emotionally out in the relationship and her confidence and not like other girls kind of thing, but confident in who she is and maybe just not confident in finding love, but confident in her career. So I think those are like the hallmarks to me of a great Beauty and the Beast story. And something else, I don't have every character there, but I think I have a lot of the main ones. And some people haven't guessed who all of the people are, but most people have gotten them right. So yeah, I think that's the fun aspect, but I also think things that I didn't either intend or other people are seeing things that I didn't intend and mentioning it to me, I think has been really fun too, because that is I think especially for readers, that's a lot of people's favorite or one of their favorite fairy tales. So having people reach out to me and just share like what that fairy tale meant to them and the parts of the stories that they reached out to or that they connected with has meant a lot too. So that's also just a very surprising part of writing retelling that I wasn't expecting. But I'm curious because you have two and now a third about to come out, what your like favorite parts or like how you make a decision to like what to leave in and what to leave out too, because especially writing Shakespeare, rewriting
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
Well, I mean, I will say that I think this actually it leads me to I can skip around a bit in my questions. I think this will be a good segue because I'll say a little bit, but I don't want to say too much because I'd like you to answer. We're sort of on
Okay.
the cusp of this, which was like, what do you enjoy most about a retelling, and did you what did you find like you enjoyed least or found the most challenging? So I'll do my little mini answer, which is that I find it challenging that retellings make you be in your head so much when you're writing because you're writing in relationship to an original text.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't just get to be like free creativity, do whatever. Like it's can be really great to be working within an existing pair, like an existing, outline and story, but then you're
Yeah.
thinking just always in your head about it. So that can be the difficult thing. But the fun thing is you're in relationship and in dialogue with the text, and it's super fun. So but to that, and that can be just a headache to be thinking that much about it. But for you, what do you feel like you enjoyed the most? What do you feel like you enjoyed the least or was just maybe frustrated or challenged by?
Yeah. No, I think that that's very true of, right? Like I think there are the books that like unintentionally you can make a clear comparison or like I feel the Beauty and the Beast vibes for this. I definitely intended this to be a retelling, and there are the books that are that and the ones that are just the vibes. So it's definitely meant to be in conversation with aspects of the fairy tale. So then yeah, when you're writing it, when I was writing it, it was definitely trying to figure out what aspects, I think even just to that question before, what aspects did I want to keep and honoring the fairy tale, right? Like you can't call something a Beauty and the Beast fairy tale and then just write uh, just have,
A
not a
Ken doll
Glen
instead of a
Sunshine
beast.
or yeah, not have a library pop in or yeah. So different things that I think people are just going to be like, did we grow up experiencing the same things?
Yeah.
So I think it's a push and pull of wanting to honor something that is truly so treasured by so many people. And I will say, I don't know if I fully reflected on that, which was probably for the best before I put the book out there because this story is something that means a lot to a lot of different people, and so I hope I honored it in a way that people understood how much I care about it and wanted to put my twist on it. But there are people who are also gonna want you to have very specific things that are from that story, and you're not going to give that to them. And there are people who think it's going to be too committed to that story and want something very, very original, and you're not going to give it to them either. So
It's true.
it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. But there are so many books that I love retellings of, and I'm really proud of it. It's my debut. It's my first book. I don't plan to always write retellings, but I wrote the book I wanted to, and that I wanted to tell, and I'm really proud that, you know, there's a plus size Beauty and the Beast book out there. But yeah, it's a hard thing to do, and it's hard to be in your head, but I think there are also aspects of it you kind of just have to let go and know that you're not going to be able to honor it for everyone who loves that story, because there are things that I love about that story that maybe someone else doesn't care about, that they care about something else that's just isn't what called out to me. And
Right.
that's true for everyone.
Yeah. The way you said it's hard, it reminded me so much of New Girl when Jess asks Schmidt, don't you just think about what everyone else is feeling all the time? No, never. Do you? Yes. Hard. It's like,
It is. It's really
is that
hard.
like, it's really hard. But you're thinking about more, you're taking on, my cat is just attacking the rug. Sorry for, you can hear it. She's
No,
just
you're
like,
fine. I fed my cat a lot. My cat is passed out.
yeah, I should have given her catnip so that she would have just been sleeping it off right now. But no, she's down here being a menace, and then her brother will join her. What were we talking about? Hard. Really? Okay, yeah. So the relationship, like we know when you just put out any story, like when I started writing the Bergmans, I was like, I'm just writing a story. It's gonna land with some people, it's not gonna land with other people. The show will go on. Then the next book in the same series will hopefully be more than my readers will be finding it. And then you go. But the thing about a retelling that I've definitely learned in tackling this Shakespeare series is, yeah, number one, the more popular the original text, the more you are dealing with so many people having specific expectations and relationships to that story. And
Mhm.
so not only are they reading your book, they're reading it with a relationship on the line. And so
Yeah.
I think you do open yourself up to more critique or more people who are just going to have strong opinions. But you know what? I'm always frankly flattered when people have the energy to either scream about how much they love it or even scream about how much they didn't, because they're expending energy. So I impassioned them, right? And so I think like it's a bold thing to do a retelling. And it takes work, it's hard. But I
Mhm.
think it's a special thing to do because, like you said, we got a plus size Belle out there and you did the damn thing, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we've got another question. Do
Okay.
you have any construction or preservation background? If not, how'd you dig into that research?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I am definitely not an HGTVer. I don't watch those TV shows. And I love, like, I'll put together like IKEA furniture. Like, this is actually the bookcase my mom and I put together when I was 16. And it has moved across the Eastern Seaboard with me. But I home design like causes me a lot of anxiety. I actually was like buying my first place as I was putting my first book out. Never do that. That's my life advice to people. Like, plan your life better than I did. And just like finding my first couch was like a lot of overly decision making options and things. So I am not a conservationist, but I was also one of my majors in college was a history major. So I was able to take like what I know about museums and just those different aspects of loving history, and I'm pulling from that. And then one of my beta readers works at a museum and was able to kind of help me and point me to online resources for historical wallpaper and just different things. And I won't lie, I know there's uh license with just how that home was
Creative
probably
license, yeah.
intended at the beginning of that. So I know it's probably not fully accurate. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do for the plot. So there's definitely aspects of it I would enjoy, but I could not do good God, Bellamy's job whatsoever. So I hope and I will say that was probably to jump off that too. Um, the hardest part for me of writing the book was trying to find the balance of like plotting that where it's a through line through the book. They're restoring a home, but also not overwhelming the book with like all of these home projects that are interesting, but at the end of the day, to me, the, let's get to the romance. Like something's happening here, and that's
Make
hopefully
them kiss.
yeah, hopefully that's what's gonna happen. So hopefully that's balanced pretty well. But yeah, no, if someone's asking that, I'm flattered enough that you could even think maybe that's happening in my life. But no, honestly, I'll put together some pieces of furniture or a bookcase, but that's about as far as I'm getting. So, but you're restoring a home, so you might have, or I didn't bring that up at all. I just think it's kind of
Yeah.
ironic I wrote a book about home restoration and now you are. So.
Making me hug my cat for her emotional regulation. It's fine. Actually, it's going well. It's just decision.
Yeah, right?
Decisions. And
So many decisions.
we are working with a contractor who, my cat is so ridiculous. This animal. I'm sorry, she's in my lap being absurd. This contractor works on old homes, like they're his thing. So I know the house. The house is like 1880s. Apparently, yeah, it's the original, it was like the original home in the stretch of historical homes in this part of Pittsburgh where I live. So it's like really cool. But then I'm also
Yeah.
like, I don't wanna mess it up. But I also want it to be functional for a
Yep.
family of six and it needs to, and a couple cats. So it's a lot. But yeah, I mean, I I am learning as I go,
Yeah.
and I'm very overwhelmed. There are too many tiles. And again, to quote Schmidt, right now this home has too many forms of egress. There's so many doors and what's becoming a window. It's ridiculous, but I
Oh
feel
yeah.
very lucky to be able to make those decisions. So we're grateful.
No, that's good.
Okay, since I'm
Who
holding
else
my
is coming to say?
speaking of King Louis.
Lily's
Have
going to
you
say that.
considered putting a King Louis cameo in any of your books? Is the next chat question.
Oh, I love that question. I think he knew he
Girl,
was being asked
say
about.
hi to Louis.
I do think I really want to put like a grumpy cat, like cameo in. So yeah, if you see someone that's, Prince, whatever, you will know exactly who it is. But, um, oh my gosh.
That's what
Oh
she does.
my gosh. Oh
All right,
no, he
carry
likes to
on.
sit on my hands and my arms while I try to write. So
Yeah. They're like, you're not writing right now. I'm just gonna go and they just like stretch across you. And I'm like, I needed my arms kind of, but it's okay. It's okay,
yeah,
cat.
as long as
Yeah.
he's
So you
comfortable.
gotta, you have to write a grumpy cat at some point.
Oh, definitely. I still laugh because I don't know my profile picture that's on Instagram. I had
Yeah.
an incredible artist who tried to take a picture with King Louis and he wouldn't let me. So she took pictures of me and him and put them together. And then she sent him smiling. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. You're going to think I'm the weirdest person, but my cat doesn't smile like that. And so she sent me what I currently have now, which is just him like looking very stern and judgmental. And I was like, that's my cat. Thank you so much. Please don't think I'm a weirdo. I love him, but he looks like that. So it's amazing.
Also, also, I'm just really happy that we're sitting here in a chat both with our cats.
Oh, I was literally when they were like, who would you like to talk with? I'm like, this is just the perfect opportunity for me to just hang out with you. So thank you for doing this.
I was just sitting here with her cat being so weird. Like, why does she do that? She's just gotta like smush her face against you. Oh, and then Louis just being there like the little regal king he is.
Yep. Yep. Just wants attention.
Um, okay, so next fun question. Barely Even Friends is deliciously steamy, and Bellamy and Oliver communicate so well in their intimacy, which I think is really important and healthy to see. What made you want to write a higher heat steamy romance, and what was important to you when making that decision and how you portrayed intimacy?
So I won't lie. I like squealed a little when I saw that I wrote a deliciously steamy book. I like want to reblurb the top of my book and just put that at the top because yeah, you said that. So that's cool.
I meant
No, I know, but it means a lot coming from you because I love your books. So
it's
I love steamy books. So to me, this is the advice I would also give any writer. Write something you want to read because you're going to read it a million times. And I like reading steamy books. And to me, especially where they don't communicate as well in the beginning verbally with each other, other than snarking, they communicate through sex in ways. And consent is very important. And so I really wanted to make sure that that was clear. And I think especially for what Oliver was going through too, showing kind of the different aspects in them, both of them kind of respecting each other's boundaries, even if they're pushing and pulling outside of the bedroom with each other, but at least making it clear they really do have that level of respect for each other was something very important to me. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to write, and I really just wanted to write something that the steam meant something to the book, that it wasn't, you know, if you want to skip the steam, no judgment, but I also did want to make it that the steam added to the book where you're really getting more to their relationship, hopefully. And some of the advice that I've really enjoyed, just the more I learn about writing, is every sex scene should be different, where it's like shows the different aspects of their relationship, where that first sex scene versus the last one is different because of where they are in their relationship, that first sex scene is different because they're not talking or this, but by the end it shows those shifts in their relationship, and that's something that's always stood out to me. So I hope I kind of encapsulated that. But yeah, I like steamy books, and so for me, I won't lie, I was wondering when the book got bought if I was going to be asked to remove or cut down some of the steamy scenes. Especially because it is, I've seen other reviews call it this, so I feel safe saying this. People consider it a slow burn. It builds to it. They build up to it. They do.
Yeah. I think it's a mid burn.
Fair. Yeah.
But I think there's great slow burn tension from the outset.
Yeah.
I remember being like, all right, here we go. And it wasn't like super late in the book. Then again, I'm me, and we're at like 89% or 93% of my books.
Depends on the book. Yeah. It depends on the book though. You have a couple of books where I was like, Chloe, Miss Slow Burn Queen, hello here. Hello. We're rumbling around a hotel room in sheets. And sorry, I still love that scene so much.
That's true. Everything that one did get, oh yeah, that one. They got a little spicy on me.
No, I was definitely texting you like, hello. But because I will say you do an excellent job too, which I think is one of the things I really do try to think about is it matters also on the couple, right? Like how the sex and when it develops too. And I think you do an amazing job of this, of your slow burn honors a couple, right? Like some couples, one night stand works and then they build and things like that. But other couples, they need the amount of time to build up to that. So for me, for Barely Even Friends, I wanted to honor their push and pull, where as much as I wanted to yell at them to, you know, they couldn't hook up right away. But when they did, they earned it. So
I agree. They really did. They were hot. Okay, so you don't have to answer the second part of this question if you think it's going to be spoilers, but who's your favorite character in the Disney Beauty and the Beast? Ooh. And if you would like to answer this question, did you bring them to Barely Even Friends?
Well, the very obvious answer is Belle is my favorite character.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
no, I'm kidding. I can be your answer. I'll allow it.
I mean, if I'm being very truthful, I do love Belle, but let's see, I do love the Beast, and I am definitely an originalist of he should have stayed in the Beast form, and I would have been fine with that.
I'm with you. So I will say, and I think you and I have already disagreed about this, is that he is so fine when he transforms too. Like,
I do think he is very attractive transformed. Although I will say, I did see someone recently, I think I saw it on Instagram, it might have been a French artist, and now I wish I should have saved. I'm gonna have to find this. I'll repost it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
But someone drew the more like an in between, which I think, I won't lie, is what I've kind of done, like bearded and a little bit more of an in between of the Beast with the character, which I think would have been the perfect harmony, right? Like not becoming immediately clean cut. after
Yeah.
the transformation, but
I mean, the Beast in his full transformation is like he looks a bit like a hot girl too. Like he's a hot dude and a hot girl. Like he's got oh man, whew, he's a hottie McTottie. Okay, so Belle's your favorite. Who
but of the characters are like of the staff. It's a good question. I honestly I think one of the things I love, and this isn't me trying to I love that there's just of that movie, everyone has a strong personality. Everyone has a fun dynamic. Like
it's true.
you know immediately her relationship with her dad and Gaston and everything else. Like to me, you know, even ignoring maybe the end of that movie, Gaston probably could have a redemption if it weren't for the back half of that movie kind of thing. Like I was a big fan of there was supposed to be a like a Disney TV show with Gaston and LaFleur was going to be get queer, and I'm still very sad they canceled that because I think that would have been hilarious. But yeah, so I think it has one of the best secondary cast of characters too. So I
It's
think
a
just
great
everyone
ensemble
works.
cast.
Cogsworth and gosh, why am I blanking?
Lumiere.
Lumiere, thank you. Like they're hilarious and best friends. Like I think everyone's just a strong personality. So but maybe Cogsworth being a grump the whole time, but adores the beast. So
Yes. Cogsworth was my favorite character. And I love there's a line that he says that I truly think makes me giggle like every 2 weeks because I think about it that often. It's when the Beast asks Cogsworth like, what should I do to show her I love her? Like, what can I give her to show her I love her? And Cogsworth says, flowers, chocolates, promises you don't intend to keep.
yeah, yeah. Cogsworth knows the deal.
Promises you don't intend to keep. And then oh my gosh, he's like the guy who did his accent, just something about it brings me so much joy. The
Yeah.
flying buttresses indicative of the neoclassic Baroque period. And as I always say, if it isn't Baroque, don't fix it. Like he's just so extra. He
Well,
brings me
even
so
when they
much.
shade him when he's like getting ready or like when he wasn't nice to her and they're looking like, come on, man. Like we're literally we're trying to stop being cursed here. Could you give us a little something?
Just throw us a bone. And then just Lumiere, their banter, the two of them.
Mhm.
Um, my Dr. B and I are watching Outlander right now, and he was pointing out how like Rupert and Angus, they're like these two like kind of the complementary like sidekick comedic reliefs. He's like, they're giving me Oliver and Vigo vibes. I'm like, well, I
Yes.
watched Outlander years ago, so maybe that's actually that. But like Cogsworth and Lumiere, that vibe too. Like, there's just something about that, like
Yep.
kind of the playful poking at each other. One
Yeah.
moment one's more serious, one the other is like, oh, I love those two. They're
Yeah.
great.
Where they pretend they hate each other, but you know they would like die for each other and
Yeah.
kill someone else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they love each other to death.
Mhm.
Okay, so final question. Oh no, I actually have another one, but we'll see if we get to it. Because the last one's just kind of for fun. So we've talked a little bit about it, but Bellamy is such like a lovable and a lovely heroine. Like she's very determined, she's smart, she's feisty, like she knows her worth, in so many ways, right? And she's also like deeply caring. Like I think sometimes a lot of times we see a heroine who's either like boss lady and like no emotions, like all locked down, or like the sort of sunshines, hard-eyed romantic who's carrying everybody's feelings. And like to see a heroine who has that nuance in the two, like I really love that about her. So my question is, we spend the whole story in her perspective. So we obviously like put a lot of thought into us seeing the world like through her eyes and experiencing and her experience of the world. When you were making her character, what was important for you for us to experience through her perspective? Like, why did we get Bellamy to see this world through?
Yeah. So I definitely went back and forth because I do love a great dual point of view. Although I will say I am a
You like
single
your
point of view.
single point of views. I know. It's fine.
I love listen, I love your
Not
books. You know.
offended. I've only wrote 10 dual point of view books, but it's okay. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
I know. I am slightly intimidated. I'm trying something. I'll tell you when we're not being recorded about this wild thing I'm trying with my next book, which is, I don't know. I think might have been drunk when I figured it out. But anyway, it's an odd twist. But dual point of view also, I think, intimidates me because you truly have to like distinctly know two voices. And Bellamy's voice came very clearly to me. Oliver, I think, was a quieter voice that just for me it worked in the story to get to know him through Bellamy's eyes
I
because
think the story works so well, single point of view. I definitely do. I
uh,
love single point of view. I'm totally teasing you.
no,
But
I
yes,
know. This is where Chloe admits she hated my book.
yeah. This is where we talk
Anyway,
about how Chloe roasts you as a love language. I don't know where my characters got it. I love her so much. So yeah, right. So we have this whole story through her perspective where, we learn Oliver as she learns him, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and I think for me, I wanted to show, and I think it really goes to what you were saying in your in the way you kind of explained the question is I did want to show her nuance. Like I knew she was going to be the sunshine of the duo, but I wanted to show her having kind of these moments where she could be the grump or she's the sarcastic one and having a hard time or not always, is scared or having moments of doubt because she's the only girl and everyone's expecting her dad to show up and she's the one and they're like it's you here and you and your suspenders and everything else. So I really wanted to show her humanity. She's not perfect. She definitely says things that the minute she says them to, especially to Oliver, she wishes she could take back, but she just is someone who is defensive and just also is hurt by the world in a very less obvious way than Oliver. Um, and so I wanted to kind of show, to me, they're very two sides of the same coin. Of one might be the more obvious showing of it, and the other is the less obvious in different aspects. And for her, I think I wanted he has obviously been hurt by the world, like physically been in an accident. And so for her, I think her heart hurts are a little bit quieter, but are still just as valid, and to just see how she's expressed herself and kind of learn to build her armor and how she breaks that down too in relation to him and trusting him and falling in love, where I thought that was also um interesting, and just watching her, even her perspective of him change throughout the book, where in the beginning she's like, yeah, you might be hot but you are obnoxious and if you weren't here this would be so much easier, and by the end she, spoiler alert, they fall in love. I'm not telling you how, but they might fall in love.
dare
So
you ruin it?
yeah. So I really enjoyed her perspective. It was just fun writing the snark, but yeah, I will say it did force me still to really get to know him because he
Oh
might be
yeah.
not there as loud in his point of view, but I still in every scene I had to know what he was thinking and try to express it in a way that's not too obvious. But you definitely have the scenes too, and I love them in a single point of view where she's, staring at the ceiling oblivious and he's just like obsessed with her. And you as a reader are like, you are so dumb. Like, come on, this man loves you. So and I love those. And honestly,
Is
that's one of the best parts about writing is writing the things you love and putting them in a book.
a great way to
So
say it. It's just writing the things you love. And I think it's a special joy of single point of view is that the love interest, who's not our protagonist in the point of view we're in, they get to be a bit of a mystery. And so that
mhm.
they, as they become less mysterious to the perspective, they become less mysterious to us. So I think you did such a great job with that. Well, then the final question, because we only have a couple minutes left and it's just for funsies, is what are Oliver and Bellamy up to now? What are they doing?
Well, I will say, as a thank you to people, and you received it, was I did write an Oliver point of view, so it does exist out in the universe. So, and so they are hanging out. So I think for them, I mean, I think Bellamy's going, hey Taylor Swift, you copied me by dating a football player, so
Yeah,
like.
background. Back off, T Swift. Get original.
Right. But I think she obviously she made Oliver a Swiftie, so I think they're watching the Eras Tour concerts together, and he's probably taken her to a couple shows. I think that they are still snarking and living their lives, and I think they're slowly figuring it out. Like I did, without being too spoilery, I tried to write it realistically where things are wrapped up but not perfectly in a bow. So I think that they're still figuring out the best parts of their lives, but figuring it out together. And as you see in the first line, maybe having a tradition of wearing onesie pajamas for family events with her dad. And and he probably buys her a lot of pairs of suspenders because he also breaks a lot of her suspenders for reasons.
Yeah, he does. So good. Well, May,
So yeah,
love this book. I'm so happy for you.
thank you. Can you tell us about your next book that we have to look forward to that I've been searching NetGalley for?
Laugh. That's just the third Will Monsters book out in January.
No
This
big deal.
Business Night is about this wonderful book. Everybody should be reading it. Everybody will love it. And I love you, May. This has been
I
great.
love you too, but I didn't grab all of them because I would carry them. But read
You're a
Chloe's
stinker.
books; they make me happy. I adore Chloe, so thank you. This has been so much fun.
Well, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, May and Chloe. It was so much fun getting to hear you talk about Barely Even Friends. And if anyone hasn't read it yet or hasn't read any of Chloe's books, please go out and read it. They are amazing. So thank you again, everyone. Have a good rest of your evening.
Good night or good day, whatever time it is for you.
Okay, whatever.